Ayo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Ace. This is Fantasized Football. We are back once again, bringing y'all some more fantasy football content for the 2021 fantasy football season. And I'm here today because it's Tuesday. Can you take a guess why? It's time to go over waivers, right? Today's the day to do it. So I am here to bring y'all my favorite waiver claims, my favorite cats to drop your fab on to use your waiver priority on for week 5 of the 2021 fantasy football season. But before we get into that, my boy, we wanted to give a quick shout out to all of y'all that come by on a weekly basis, show your boy some love and support, help the channel to grow, leaving likes, dropping comments, subscribing to the channel. Honest to God, it really means the world to me. I appreciate y'all so very, very much. And if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for coming by, giving me a little bit of your time. Welcome. You are here now. Join us. If you do enjoy this video at any point, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the fantasy football season. This Saturday, we will be doing you guys' start or sit questions. We didn't do it last week because I was a little busy. I had a wedding to go to on Friday, so we just did my starts of the week rather than answering your start or sit questions. So this week, I will be answering your start or sit questions. So any start or sit questions you have, drop them in the comments of this video, on Thursday's video, etc., etc., etc. Follow me on my socials. Leave some start sit questions there. Any other questions you may have as well regarding to trades, whatever it may be, even life questions. I don't mind. YouTube, you see that? No swears. No swears. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. I got a quarterback, a few running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, DST stream of the week, and deep sleepers. Make sure you stick around to the end because we have some extras in the deep sleepers. And even if you're not in a deeper league, these are some guys that you may want to keep an eye on. So, anyways, without further ado, let's kick it off with my quarterback stream of the week, which is going to be Daniel Jones of the New York Giants, currently rostered in 32.5% of leagues. He's coming off a big 400-yard, 2-touchdown game against the New Orleans Saints in week 4. He's got a divisional matchup coming up this week against Dallas, and I expect this to be a pass-heavy game script on both sides of the ball. I expect it to be a relatively close game. Dallas throws the ball a lot. They're a high-scoring team, high-octane offense. So in order for the Giants to keep up, they are going to have to throw the ball a lot, which means there will be a lot of work for Daniel Jones, not only throwing the ball, but rushing the ball as well. We've seen him having that rushing upside as well. So I think Daniel Jones may be in for another big week this week, given that Sam Darnold last week just absolutely exploded against the Dallas Cowboys, throwing for over 300 yards and scoring 4 total touchdowns there in week 4. So if you need to stream the quarterback position, Daniel Jones, rostered in 32.5% of leagues, would be the guy that I would be looking at here in week 5. But with that out of the way, let's move over to the running back position. And there's 2 guys in particular that I want to touch on here. First and foremost, Latavius Murray of the Baltimore Ravens, currently rostered in 34.1% of leagues. Now, Latavius Murray came out this week and took over as the lead back for the Ravens. He had 18 carries, wasn't super efficient, but he did have a tough matchup this week, but he also did score a touchdown. Tyson Williams was a healthy scratch, which I thought was a little bit odd. I don't know if that will be the case moving forward, but it seems like Latavius Murray has kind of settled in here with the Ravens and is going to be the lead back going forward. Now, this is obviously a very valuable role in a great offense that loves to run the ball. He should see a lot of scoring opportunities. Maybe the work in the passing game isn't there as much because Lamar hasn't historically targeted the running back position very much, but nonetheless, this is a very valuable role. If Latavius Murray is going to be getting 15 to 18 carries a week in this offense, he's going to have plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns. So if you're looking for the running back position, if you need help at the running back position, Latavius Murray would be one of the guys that I would be looking to target on the waiver wire here tonight. But with Latavius Murray out of the way, let's move on to my second option at running back. If you can't get your hands on Latavius Murray, or if you just prefer this guy, it's going to be Damian Williams of the Chicago Bears, currently rostered in 10.2% of leagues. Now, David Montgomery obviously suffered an injury here in week 4. It is very unfortunate because I have lots and lots of shares of David Montgomery. We don't know how serious the injury is, but I do expect him at least to miss a little bit of time. But with David Montgomery out of the picture last week, Damian Williams went for 8 carries, 55 yards, scored a touchdown, and had 2 targets for 2 catches and 15 yards. Now, Damian Williams did get banged up a little bit in this game as well. It was a thigh bruise, if I'm correct, but that's not something I'm super concerned about. Everything that I've read up on up to this point has said that this isn't something that should cause him to miss any time. And I expect Damian Williams to be the lead back in this offense while David Montgomery is out. Khalil Herbert is there as well. We'll get to him a little bit later on, but I do expect Damian Williams to be the main benefactor here of David Montgomery missing some time. So if you need running back, Latavius Murray, Damian Williams, both good options. We've seen what Damian Williams has been in the past with the Chiefs. I mean, obviously the Bears aren't as good of an offense as the Chiefs are, but if you're going to be getting a starting running back that's going to be handling upwards of 50 to 60% of the opportunities off the waiver wire, that's obviously something you are going to want to prioritize. And on top of that, in the next 2 weeks, if David Montgomery does miss 2 weeks, which I expect him probably to miss at least a couple of weeks, Damian Williams has Las Vegas and Green Bay. 2 good matchups, which should allow for him to get it going, hopefully be in some scoring opportunities, put a touchdown on the board. If he's handling, 12 to 14 carries, 13 to 15 carries, and he's getting 2 to 4 targets a week, then that is obviously a very valuable role, no matter what the offense for fantasy football. Now, moving on from the running back position, we're going to hop on over to the wide receiver position. And the first player I want to talk about is Jamison Crowder of the New York Jets, currently rostered in 14.6% of leagues. Now, this was Jamison Crowder's first game back in this Jets offense, and he saw 9 targets, catching 7 balls, 61 yards, and scoring a touchdown. Now, we've seen this before. Jamison Crowder is a little bit up and down. He's had some injury issues, but in the past, when he's healthy, he's always a very good PPR option, right? He's going to have a role in this offense. How valuable is that role? That's yet to be seen. I mean, Zach Wilson did look a lot better last week. It was against a porous Tennessee defense, but nonetheless, he did look much better this week. So maybe he's getting in the swing of things a little bit more. Having Jamison Crowder will obviously help as well. He got 9 targets last week. Do I expect 9 targets every week? Probably not, but he'll probably be somewhere in that 5 to 7 range and sometimes go upwards of 8 to 10 targets. So that's obviously a very valuable role, especially in full PPR. If he's going to be getting you 5, 6 catches, 50, 60 yards, throwing a touchdown here and there, that is a guy that you're going to want to have on your roster. And I expect the volume with Crowder to be relatively consistent when he is healthy. What he does with it is the only question there. Now, he has a matchup with Atlanta in week 5, and I think that right away you could take Jamison Crowder, slot him into your flex, your wide receiver 2 spot. I expect this game to be maybe not relatively, I mean, it probably will be pretty competitive, honestly, if Zach Wilson plays how he did last week. But even if not, if Atlanta goes out to an early lead or whatever, then the Jets are going to have to play catch up and throw the ball a lot, which is obviously good for Jamison Crowder and all the other pass catchers on the New York Jets. So if you need wide receiver help, I would be prioritizing Jamison Crowder here in week 5. Now, moving on from Jamison Crowder, we have Van Jefferson of the LA Rams, currently rostered in 5.3% of leagues. He's had 6 targets each of the past 2 weeks. Now, he's the clear third option here, right? I mean, him or Higbee, the third wide receiver option, I should say. But this still could be a very valuable role in a pass-heavy offense run by Matt Stafford, who has been on fire to start the season. These are going to be valuable targets coming from Stafford. So if he's getting 5 to 7 targets a week, yes, is that a whole lot of volume? No. But if the targets are valuable targets, if he's getting deep targets down the field, he's getting targeted near the red zone, then obviously that is very valuable. Now, 2 out of the first 4 games, he's had 80 plus yards and a touchdown. Now, the first game was a little fluky. He had 3 targets, 80 yards, just over 80 yards and a touchdown, right? But last week he did look a lot better. He had 6 targets. He caught all 6 balls. So I think Van Jefferson's at least worth a shot. There wasn't a ton of guys at wide receiver that I was super hyped about on the waiver this week. But just seeing this this consistency from Van Jefferson over the past couple of weeks, getting 6 targets each of the past 2 weeks, coming from Matt Stafford, I figured it's worth at least throwing a dart at. If you can't get your hands on Crowder or one of these running backs, I do not hate taking a shot on Van Jefferson. He also has a matchup against Seattle in week 5, and that should be a shootout. You would expect at least he has a good schedule after that. Giants, Lions, Houston, Tennessee. So he does have a good stretch of games. So you can see what he does this week against Seattle. And if he continues to see consistent volume, he could be a flex for you in your fantasy football lineups. Now, moving on from the wide receiver position, we're going to move over to tight end. And the player I want to talk about is Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Who would have thought at the start of last season, right? Week 5, here, we would be talking about Zach Ertz as a waiver wire target at the tight end position. Who would have thought it? I wouldn't have. But here we are. And Zach Ertz is my tight end priority this week for fantasy football. He is currently rostered in 16.4% of leagues, obviously of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, over these past few weeks, 7+ targets, 50+ yards in each of the last 2. So it seems like he's finding some chemistry with Jalen Hurts. He's really cementing his role in this offense. And now, obviously with tight end, when you're looking to stream the position, you want anyone that has a pulse. But it seems like Zach Ertz might have a little bit more of a pulse. We've seen what he can be. We're not so far removed from Zach Ertz being a perennial top 5 fantasy option at the tight end position. So if he can return to form, if he's getting somewhere in that 5 to 7, 6 to 8 targets a week range, especially at the tight end position, that is very, very valuable. He has a matchup with Carolina here in week 5, who just allowed Dalton Schultz to go off for 8 targets, 6 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. And then after that, he has Tampa Bay, Vegas, and Detroit. So these are all matchups where you can put Zach Ertz in right away. So if you're struggling at the tight end position, if you've been streaming the position, it's not working out for you, go out and make sure to prioritize Zach Ertz, because you may be getting a guy that you can put in your lineup week in and week out that could be your solution at the position. Now, moving on from tight end, we have my DST stream of the week. And this one was super hoot and hollering easy. No swears, baby. No swears. We don't swear anymore on Fantasized Football. We don't swear. We say hootin' and hollering and gosh dang and yeehaw and stuff like that, because we're a family-friendly presence in the fantasy football community. Family-friendly presence in the fantasy football community. Yes. So my DST stream of the week is going to be the Minnesota Vikings, currently rostered in 16.5% of leagues. They got a matchup here against Detroit in week 5. They held Seattle to 17 points in week 3 and Cleveland last week to 14 points. Detroit hasn't scored more than 17 points since week 1. Excuse me. And Jared Goff has 5 turnovers through the first 4 games of the season. So if you need to stream stream a DST this week, I'd be looking to go out and get the Vikings, because this is a good matchup against Detroit. Jared Goff has been turnover prone and they have not been scoring the ball very frequently, that being the Detroit Lions. So if you need to stream the position, go ahead and go for the Minnesota Vikings. I have a lot of faith in them this week. But now that the main stuff is done, let's move on to the deep sleepers. Now, pay attention. Stick around to the end here, because I got a lot here for you. Even if you're not in a super deep league, these are some guys you might want to pay attention to. Now, quarterback, this was a little tough, man, because I'm starting to realize that all you sick freaks out there are rostering 2 quarterbacks, because the only quarterbacks I could find that were rostered in under 10% of leagues, if you're new, all my regular waiver guys that we talk about, right, are rostered in under 40% of ESPN leagues, and then the deep sleepers are under 10%. Now, I had to go with Taylor Heineke here. He's rostered in 10.2% of leagues. If not, I'm giving you like Jacoby Brissett or like Drew Lock. Sorry, I'm not telling you to do that. But, hey, if you got to do that, I'm sorry. But Taylor Heineke should be available. He's rostered in 10.2% of leagues. So even if you're in a deep league, you should be able to get your hands on him. Now, I used him last week in the deep sleepers. He had a big week. He went off. What can I say? Nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. downs. Now, he has New Orleans this week, who just let up over 400 yards to Daniel Jones. Taylor Heineke looks like the real deal. He led this team to the comeback against Atlanta this week. So I would feel confident in a deeper league, even if you're not in a deeper league. If you want to go out there and you want to throw Taylor Heineke in your lineup, if you're struggling at quarterback, whatever, I don't hate that. If you're in a super flex league, if you're in a 2QB league, start Taylor Heineke this week. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling Heineke. I like him. And I'm the biggest Fitzpatrick guy in the world, and I wouldn't necessarily hate it if when Fitz came back, they said, hey, man, it's going to kind of be a competition. Heineke looks legit. So if you're in a deeper league, you need to stream the position. I'd be looking at Taylor Heineke. Now, moving on to the running back position and the deep sleepers, I have Khalil Herbert here. He's rostered in 0.2% of leagues. Now, like I said with Damian Williams, David Montgomery is likely to miss some time. Now, I expect Damian Williams to be the main guy here, but Khalil Herbert could have a role here. So he is worth a shot in deeper leagues. I don't know how they're going to split this up. There's not a whole lot of draft capital invested into Khalil Herbert, but he is a talented young player, so he may see an opportunity. If it's a little closer of a split, if he's handling somewhere in that 8 to 12 opportunities a week range, 10 to 13, whatever it may be, then he should have some value for us for fantasy football and deeper leagues. So you may want to go out and take a shot on him. We're going to kind of rapid fire through these because I have a few of them, but moving on, we have Brandon Bolden of the New England Patriots rostered in 1.5% of leagues. Now, it looks like he could be the guy that takes on the James White role in this Patriots offense with Mac Jones out of the picture. Now, this is why I said this. Brandon Bolden might be a guy that you want to take a look at in any PPR league. Last week, he had 6 targets, caught all 6 balls for 51 yards. So if he's going to take on this James White role in this offense, it is a relatively valuable role. So you may want to consider him here. He has Houston, Dallas, and the Jets in the next 3 as well. So he does have a good string of matchups. If he's getting a little work on the ground and he's seeing somewhere in that 5 to 7 target range, that is going to be a player you're going to want to keep your eyes on in PPR leagues, especially in deeper leagues. I would go out and get him right now. And then the last running back I want to talk about here on the deeper sleeper portion is going to be Alex Collins of the Seattle Seahawks, currently rostered in under 1% of leagues. 0.9% of leagues. He saw 12 touches here in week 4. Chris Carson, for whatever reason, hasn't seen more than 14 total touches since week 1. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if that trend's going to continue, but if it does, and Alex Collins is going to be getting, again, 10, 12, 13 touches a week, that is going to be a valuable role in a very, very good offense. Rashad Penny is on the IR, so it's Alex Collins' job to have, being that secondary running back in the Seattle Seahawks offense. So if you need running back help in a deeper league, these are the guys that I'd be looking at. Khalil Herbert, Brandon Bolden, Alex Collins. I'd probably be prioritizing Alex Collins and Brandon Bolden over Khalil Herbert, but I also think that Khalil Herbert could have a real role with if it's more of a split between him and Damian Williams, like I had mentioned. But anyways, let's move on to the wide receivers here in the deeper sleepers. We have Khalif Raymond of the Detroit Lions, currently rostered in 0.6% of leagues. Now, over the past 2 weeks, he had 10 targets, 6 catches, 68 yards, and then last week he had 6 targets, 3 catches, 46 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, with this Lions team, it is very hard to predict who is going to be the main receiving option on this team. I mean, wide receiver-wise, at least on a week-to-week basis between Khalif Raymond, Quintez Cephas, so on and so forth, with Tyrell Williams out of the picture. But I do think he's worth a shot in deeper leagues after getting 16 targets over the past 2 weeks, scoring 2 touchdowns last week. You could go out and you can take a shot on Khalif Raymond, and if the volume continues to be there, if he's getting the targets, then obviously he's someone you're going to want to have on your roster, especially if you're in a deeper league where it's, really slim pickings. So Khalif Raymond would be a guy I'd be looking at. He has Minnesota next week and Bengals after that. So 2 matchups that aren't exactly super, super tough. I mean, the Bengals is a better matchup than Minnesota, in my opinion. Obviously, I have Minnesota as my DST stream of the week. But if Khalif Raymond's getting the targets, then he could convert. You could slot him into your flex if you really, really need to. Now, moving on from Khalif Raymond, we have Kadarius Toney of the New York Giants, rostered in 3.2% of leagues. Now, he saw 9 targets last week with no Sterling Shepard and no Darius Slayton. He could see an expanded role here if Shepard and Slayton do have to miss more time, and he could even take over for Darius Slayton. They did invest first-round draft capital into Kadarius Toney, the Giants that is, and after a productive week this week, maybe he sees an expanded role. This is the time to hop on a rookie like this when they see that big uptick in volume and they do capitalize on that opportunity. So you could go out and grab Kadarius Toney if you need help at wide receiver in a deeper league. Now, he has a divisional matchup against Dallas this week in week 5, like we mentioned earlier with Daniel Jones. So this is a matchup where we should see a lot of pass volume. So again, like I have been mentioning throughout this, like I just mentioned with Khalif Raymond, this is a guy you could probably slot in, especially if Slayton or Shepard miss time, in your flex right away. Now, moving on to the tight ends. I actually have 2 tight ends with a pulse here. Holy bananas. Holy bananas. 2 tight ends with a pulse in the deeper sleeper portion. We have CJ Uzomah of the Cincinnati Bengals, currently rostered in 0.7% of leagues. He had 6 targets, 5 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns here in week 4. Now, last season, prior to his season-ending injury, he was actually pretty good. So maybe he's just getting back into the swing of things, getting comfortable. Him and Burrow are redeveloping that chemistry. I don't think you can expect anything close to this week in and week out. But if you start seeing a little more volume and you're in, a deeper league where you're streaming tight end, you're just looking again for somebody with a pulse. So CJ Uzomah is a guy you could look at. He's got Green Bay and Detroit in the next two games. I mean, at least Green Bay, where I expect a lot of pass volume from the Bengals. I expect that to be a game where Green Bay probably gets out to an early lead. And then against Detroit, it's just a soft matchup. So he's a guy that could see volume immediately coming these next couple of weeks, coming off a very big game. And then the last player I want to talk about is Cam Brate of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, currently rostered in 5.4% of leagues. He had 6 targets last week in week 4, didn't do much with him, but we know that Tom Brady likes to use the tight end position, and Rob Gronkowski is going to be missing some time with the fractured ribs and the punctured lung. So Cam Brate is the next man up here. I mean, who knows what's really going to happen, but historically, Tom Brady has liked to use the tight end position, especially around the red zone. So this could be a valuable role for Cam Brate. He's got a pulse. He's a tight end. Go pick him up if you need help in a deeper league. I would be prioritizing in most leagues, in all leagues, basically Zach Ertz over both of these 2 guys. But if Ertz isn't available to you, these are the 2 guys at tight end that I would be prioritizing. But, whoo, man, that was a lot. We did a lot today. I brought y'all some extras, so I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like, you drop a comment, and you subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the fantasy football season. Leave your start, sit questions down in the comments below in today's video and Thursday's video. Follow my socials. Drop those questions on there. It doesn't just have to be start, sits, trade questions, life questions. I don't give a yeehaw. Whatever. I just want to interact with you guys. I want to build a better community. I hope you guys really are enjoying the content that I've been putting out. If you are, share this stuff. Get it out there more. Help me out a little bit. Leave them likes, drop them comments, help the channel grow, help boost that algorithm. I actually have the big shot scheduled to come back as well, so keep an eye out for that. But with all that out of the way, that's it for today. Tuesday's a tough one, but we got through it, y'all. I hope you guys smash it again this week. You have a big week. You get them waiver claims in. Get your guys. You get our guys. Let me know down in the comments as well your favorite waiver targets, anyone I may have missed as well. Like I said, follow the socials, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's hit the gusto, the 500 subscribers on YouTube. I'm done. Me, my boy, we are out. We will catch y'all next time. And as always, thank you, love you, peace.